Hello, I'm Randy Swallow. Welcome to In Your Neighborhood. For the next half hour, we'll talk county issues and District D issues with the man who represents the area, your Commissioner, William McCurdy II. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning, Randy. How are you doing?
I'm well. We're here in the heart of the historic West Side, near Jackson Avenue and D Street. Commission D is one of two commission districts located entirely in the Las Vegas Valley. This district includes a number of government, legal, and medical centers, portions of the cities of Las Vegas and North Las Vegas, and home to more than 300,000 residents. Here's a quick look in your neighborhood, District D. This district includes many of the most recognizable county facilities. The Clark County Government Center is the hub of all county functions, providing regional services to more than 2 million citizens and more than 40 million visitors a year. The Regional Justice Center is home to the 8th Judicial District Court and the Las Vegas Township Justice Court. This 717,000 square foot courthouse is located in downtown Las Vegas. The William U. Pearson Community Center is a District D landmark, honoring a legendary man who blazed the trail for many in Clark County. This center is used for meetings and classes with a state-of-the-art running track and awe-inspiring public art. And the North Las Vegas Community Resource Center, anchored by the likeness of Dr. Martin Luther King, is another community mainstay. Mr. King stands tall and helps anchor this area right in the heart of District D. Commissioner, first of all, it's been the first time we've had a chance to sit down together on the show In Your Neighborhood. Thank you so much for joining us. 205 days you've been in the office. Has time gone by quickly in the very challenging first year in your first term?
Yeah, it's been an incredible 205 days. Literally, we hit the ground running starting January 4th. And it's been more than what I was even anticipating, but it's been very, very rewarding to be able to have the opportunity to represent the constituents of Commission District D and of all of Clark County for that matter.
We're here in a very historic part of the West Side, Commissioner, and the first interview we did, which was in January, you said you wanted to focus on economic development and economic investment in District D, identify ways to improve social infrastructure, provide to seniors and constituents who are experiencing rough times right now. How have you done that?
You know what? That is exactly why we have chose this location to do our first in-person interview, to just briefly give a snapshot as to what we're looking at in terms of those three priorities that we laid out on the commission campaign. So far, we've been able to identify all of the social service providers in the district. Day one, our first meeting was actually at the Department of Family Services. Well, we want our residents in Commission District D to know that they will have a representative that will not only be a voice at the tables where decisions are being made within some of these departments, but also, more importantly, bring the resources to the people. And that is going to be our main focus for these next couple of months moving forward, because as you can see, just looking around, we have a lot of need, not only in terms of economic development, just looking around, panning this surrounding area, but also you are going to see a need for more social infrastructure, more addiction and preventative, treatment opportunities for folks, so that they won't continue to, suffer in silence, if you will, with things that they're going through. But right now, we're working on a plan to identify a micro business park right here within the area that will do two major things as we're navigating this pandemic, and we see a lot of the restrictions still in place because of, to be quite honest, the virus is evolving. But what we're looking to do is to create more small businesses through a micro business park that is going to be a mixed-use development with affordable housing on top. So it's going to solve for affordable housing, but it is also going to solve for the creation of more small business and more entrepreneurial opportunities for folks, not only in this surrounding area, but all around Commission District D.
This area would seem to be an area that would be ripe for something like that. Yes. Again, as people, longtime people I'm sure know, that this was once the thriving part of the West Side. Jackson Avenue here, there were 4 or 5 black-owned clubs right here on Jackson. Yeah. This was the entertainment, the community, the social hub of this community at one time.
Yes, it was, and a lot of people don't know. If we look behind us, it says change is coming to the historic West Side. It is called the historic West Side is because it is west of the railroad tracks, and it is geographically the first place and the only place back in the day that African American and Black folks could live in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And my family has been here since the late 30s, early 40s. So we're going to have a focus on this area. We're going to have a focus on economics. We're going to have a focus on improving the social infrastructure. But more importantly, we're going to have a focus on connecting people to the resources that are going to help them improve their quality of life.
Talk about that in a second, Commissioner. There's been some changing demographics in a number of these zip codes in this area. In fact, even here in the historically Black West Side, there's actually now 40% Latino population as opposed to 38% African American and Black folks that live in this area. Is that just kind of mirroring the demographics in Clark County, or maybe perhaps even more so in District D?
Yeah, so actually, in this area, the population for the Latinos is actually higher than that of Clark County. In Clark County, the percentage, I believe, is 32% for the number of individuals who are from the Latin community. But what we are seeing within Commission District D is also what we're seeing all across the nation. If we look at our diversity in Clark County, it mirrors that of the diversity of the nation. That is why people often refer to Las Vegas as a microcosm of what the entire world looks like. And my belief in it is my understanding, and it is also my goal to make sure that we celebrate the diversity and the richness of our cultural diversity. For instance, one thing that we're going to be working on here within the historic West Side is we're going to be looking to build out economic infrastructure that would allow for folks who want to experience the Black culture and Black community to come visit the historic West Side. We're going to be doing the same thing on the East Side. If you want to experience Latin culture and Latin food and arts and entertainment and just the entire experience, no matter where you are in the nation, if you want to experience that, you come to Commission District D, and we will be the cultural, diverse epicenter of where you can come and spend your dollars and frequent with the community members that live here. But it is changing in terms of the population here in the historic West Side, to get to your point. And we're so happy about that, because we know that the more diverse we can have our areas be, the more rich we can be in what we share with one another as community members.
Commissioner, obviously here you share a district with the city of Las Vegas in many overlapping things, and I might add too, in your time as Assembly District 6 Assemblyman, you obviously know this area very well and growing up here. Something that is coming up is a true county and city collaboration is a Legacy Park, where the county is contributing several $1 million, but it will technically be in the city. You're honoring 36 local heroes and trailblazers from the predominantly African American community. And this will give a history lesson to people that are coming after, and some of the things what you just talked about.
Yeah, well, we know, and I want to give a shout out to the former commissioner for his willingness to partner with the city of Las Vegas to bring this reality to life, to bring this dream to life. And this historic Westside Legacy Park is going to be an area where you're going to learn about the cultural heritage and the diversity of the historic West Side, but also the legacy of the West Side. Where we've gone when it was, when we were once here in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, it being predominantly shacks, to it evolving to a thriving community that celebrates many Black businesses and clubs and hotels and the artists and celebrities that frequented this area, to actually going to a place where we're rebuilding. And a lot of individuals that are going to be referenced within that park are going to be very key for folks who are visiting that park to understand just where the historic West Side have gone and where it's headed.
So far, Commissioner, we've barely touched on the pandemic, and obviously these problems were here, or these challenges were here before the pandemic, and certainly are here now. And you said something very profound recently. You said the hardest hit communities stand to benefit the most from recovery. Could you explain that, please?
Yes, and what we have been able to learn since we first entered the pandemic and began to understand what COVID is and how it impacts our communities. What I saw on the ground is that when the world caught a cold, the historic Westside and Commission District D, for that matter, caught the flu. And it didn't just get that way. Like I said, this is an area that has been underrepresented in terms of healthcare access, in terms of economic prosperity, in terms of just having the ability to do for self in ways that other districts have been able to do for their self because of the investment that has been infused within those districts. But what we saw here in Commission District D, and what we know to be true as we continue to recover from the pandemic in terms of creating our local recovery plan, is that if we are diligent and we are thoughtful in our approach to infuse resources into the district, especially Commission District D, which has been hit hardest, not by my standard, but by the metrics that have been laid out by the healthcare professionals and also the federal government, who have actually laid out and incorporated Commission District D, much of Commission District D within the qualified census tracts, is that if we spend our resources wisely and we hear from the community and we understand what it is that they want and what it is that they experienced through this pandemic, we will actually benefit the most if we have the foresight and we invest those dollars wisely as we think about the American Rescue Plan dollars and our local recovery plan that we're working on right now within Clark County. So yes, we have felt the brunt of it, but guess what? I do believe that we're going to bounce back stronger than ever, and we're going to be able to lay some infrastructural pieces that are going to facilitate a better quality of life for the residents here in Commission District D.
Got a few follow-up questions on that. Just hold that thought. We must take a quick break. We'll continue in your neighborhood with your Commissioner, William McCurdy II. Stay tuned for more In Your Neighborhood. District D is home to the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Senior Center. After an extensive renovation, the MLK Senior Center continues to serve as a popular place for our more seasoned citizens, with low-cost lunch programs, health programs, entertainment options, and so much more. The Dr. Martin Luther King Senior Center is anchored by the incredible statue of the namesake civil rights giant right in the middle of District D. And speaking of District D, we're talking District D issues and countywide issues with your Commissioner, William McCurdy. Commissioner, everyone in government loves acronyms, and you brought up the ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act. Could you just explain that and how that's working now at the local level, some of the meetings you're holding on determining how the federal dollars are going to be spent in Clark County?
Yes, a great question, Randy. So the American Rescue Plan Act was a piece of policy that was passed by our federal government just a couple of months ago for the sole purpose of addressing the impact that COVID had on the American people. And what that means for us here in Nevada is that our state, local, and municipal entities were able to receive a brunt of those dollars. The state received nearly $2.7 billion. Clark County received $440 million. Clark County School District received $770 million. And the cities between the city of Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, Henderson, they all received nearly $100 million apiece, some more or less depending on where they are in population. But what Clark County has identified is, number one, we have to have a plan ready to submit to the federal government through the federal treasury guidance that they gave us as a part of accepting these funds, is come up with a plan, get community feedback, and submit that to us by August 31st. And that's where we are right now. We're essentially in the public commenting period, and we're getting ready to send those plans out once we finish up our community input period. Right now, we've gone from hearing from our residents in Commission District D on the east side. We had multiple community listening sessions so that, number one, they can understand the areas where we can spend those COVID rescue dollars through the American Rescue Plan. but also we've held events now through the Westside. So we tried to cover all of the Commission District and get a very diverse opinion of folks who equally experience COVID, but just in different areas, and were hit hardest in different areas of their lives. So we're going to gather all that information, and we're going to submit our plan, and we're going to get our economy back on track.
We're taping this towards the end of July, and that, as you said, the deadline is August 31st. You will continue to hold a number of outreach, public meetings, teleconference meetings with other, I know you've been with Congressman Horsford and some of your colleagues on the Board of County Commissioners. You'll continue to hold those types of
We most certainly will continue to hold our meetings. Our goal is for our residents to show up. Provide your input. Let us know how COVID has impacted you. We've held listening sessions from in the community to the Clark County government commission chambers. We've been able to have an opportunity to hear from our small businesses and nonprofits, as well as some of the larger entities that also experienced COVID, and were devastated, whether it be from payroll and weren't able to meet payroll. We're talking about our kids who have, had to go through school this past year, many of them without having the proper connectivity that they needed to be able to have a really good experience learning distantly from their home. So now we know that we need to invest in our horizontal infrastructure and broadband. We know that our students didn't have the Chromebooks, so we had to invest there. And that is going to be a conversation for all of us, federal, state, and local municipalities who receive these funds. And we're going to have to collectively decide how we're going to meet the need of the people, because this is our opportunity to invest. And my word that I like to use is to become resilient. How can we utilize these funds to invest in communications, to invest in broadband, to invest in small business incubator startups? How can we use these funds to make sure that in the face of another pandemic or emergency or disaster, we are not hit the same way we were hit this past year? Because we cannot stand to have our economy shut down, not just our economy here in Nevada, but across the United States, but also globally. We learned that we are living in a globalized community, and we all depend on one another. So we have to invest in a way to where we can be resilient.
Economics obviously collide with medicine in this pandemic, and obviously the way we're going to get out of this is through vaccinations. I know, Commissioner, recently you've held many vaccination clinics, but one you had recently was with Governor Sisolak, Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra, and representatives from FEMA. What types of, and that was at Sherman Gardens, just a few blocks away from here. You were physically going door to door, preaching, telling people the importance of getting a shot, and you had a pop-up vaccination clinic right there in people's backyards.
Yeah, I mean, what we've been able to learn is that oftentimes we have different experiences with vaccinations, especially when we have some history that is a little bit foggy, and there is some hesitation, whether it be hesitation from vaccinations of the past and how it impacted different communities, or we run into the language barriers where we're not communicating with folks in the language that they're preferred to, have themselves communicated to. So we have to meet them where they are, and that's exactly what that was. We were so happy to have Secretary Becerra as well as Governor Sisolak come to the neighborhood in Sherman Gardens, which is also a public housing area, and we have folks come out, and that wouldn't have been possible without the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority staff, as well as Immunize Nevada. And as you can see, folks have started to come out more than what they were even before, let's just say a week ago, because things are getting a little bit more tight, and we see that the variant is spreading. It's here in Nevada, it's across the nation, and what that means for our economy and our people is that we won't be able to keep things going the way that they have been going so far since June 1st, when we reduced and went back on some of the COVID restrictions that were in place. We won't be able to keep our economy going the way that it is. So we have to get vaccinated. We have to continue to let folks know that it is safe, it is free, it is effective. We must do everything that we can to not only keep ourselves safe, but we keep our families safe, and we keep our community safe. If we do what we have to do, which is get our vaccine, we can continue to play, pray, and work wherever we like.
Commissioner, you've been part of other vaccination clinics at a new fire station, at the government center, at Global High School. Is that going to continue then to just, even if you get 5 people shots in a day, I mean, it's worth it.
Even if we can pop up one site and get one person vaccinated, that is going to be one more person that moves towards the larger goal of increasing our overall percentage. Every person vaccinated is the likelihood that we can continue to keep our community safe. We can continue to keep everything open. And at the end of the day, there is no dollar amount that you can put on life. And what we're telling folks is that, hey, this vaccine will help mitigate the impact that the virus would have on you if you were to get sick and you were to get the virus. And we do know that the more people that we get vaccinated, the less we allow for the opportunity for a major spread of this new variant.
Commissioner, obviously economics and health, people's health, are causing a lot of evictions. The nationwide eviction moratorium is now over, where we could see a spike in people physically losing their houses in the coming months here now. What are we going to do about that?
Yeah, so we went from a pandemic of the unvaccinated to possibly a pandemic of the unhoused. And there are many reasons many reasons are going to be for that. We know that people were literally 1 month away from being unhoused prior to the pandemic even beginning, according to a study that was done. And this pandemic just exacerbated the idea that we can have many more folks entering homelessness within our community. But guess what? Help is here and help is on the way. There are some programs that have been set up in Clark County. For instance, the CHAPS program. If you are listening today and you have had a hard time making ends meet, and you're behind on your rent or mortgage, you can reach out to the Clark County, go to clarkcountynv.gov to visit our website to fill out the CHAPS application. And what the CHAPS application will allow you to do is qualify for assistance to help you pay your rent or mortgage and help you get through that tough time. But housing prices, they've gone up 150% since 2012. And what that means is we're not keeping up with the wages that people are making either. So it's a compounding effect. If you have rising housing prices, 150%, like I said, since 2012, and you multiply that by the stagnation of the wages, and you multiply that by COVID, and you multiply that by the increase of the cost of living, we have a perfect scenario for a very unfortunate situation that could cause many people to be unhoused, which is where Clark County is going to have to step in, and that's what we're working on. And that is where we can also continue to work as we invest our American Rescue Plan dollars. We're here for your family, we're here for you. Clark County is essentially the safeguard for the state. Our guidance we get from the state in statute, and that means that we are responsible for all social services in Clark County. We're responsible for all, liquor and gaming and economic development within unincorporated Clark County, to include being responsible for our airport, where we see over 40 million visitors a year. So we're fortunate to have 6 other county commissioners that are equally as committed to taking care of our residents of Clark County. We know that we're projected to grow by 1 million in population until 2035. By 2035, excuse me. And we're ready and we're prepared to do any and everything that we have to do to keep our residents in Clark County safe, housed, and make sure we have every opportunity presented to them to get vaccinated.
Huge challenge. We must take another short break. We'll continue In Your Neighborhood with Commissioner William McCurdy II. Stay tuned for more In Your Neighborhood. District D is home to the Clark County Government Center, the hub of all county services for the community. The Government Center Amphitheater is a treasure for the public, with an array of live performances, gatherings, and events held throughout the year. Nearly every one of the county's 38 departments is housed here, and the twice-monthly Board of County Commission meetings take place in the chambers. The Clark County Government Center is located at 500 South Grand Central Parkway in District D. And speaking of District D, we're talking issues with the man who represents the area, Commissioner William McCurdy II. Commissioner, you and your staff are all over the place, and I know you've got a number of events coming up here in the immediate future. Pandemic, relief issues, and other issues. Tell me about some of them.
Yeah, so we're still going through our community response period. We're filming this at the end of July, and we have an event coming up to get feedback from the residents within like a certain mile radius right around here. We're doing it at the Pearson Center, but our staff is working incredibly hard day in and day out. You can ask anyone on my team, they know that our job is service. You know, when you call, we answer the phone and we try to get to the issues, whether it's, needing assistance with your CHAP application or needing to be connected with someone that can find you gainful employment. We are here to serve. Our phone number, if you're listening, you can reach us at 702-455-3239. That is our number. We will pick up the phone. That does not send you to some other office. That is our direct line within Commission District D, and we're all about the people.
And of course, you have newsletters that you can subscribe to online, yes. And your social media presence is awesome, Commissioner. You are on every social media site that is out there. So just talk a little bit about how that helps reaching out.
What we do know is that your online presence is incredibly important. In my world with communications, they say you have to have 7 to 12 points of communication. So we're trying to hit all of them. We have our newsletter, which is print. We have our email system, which goes directly to your inbox on your phone or computer. We have our social media platforms. We have TikTok, we have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have YouTube, where you can watch our videos. We also have our radio, and now we have podcasts. We are on Apple Music, we are on Spotify. So we're at 9 now, right? So we're just trying to keep it going and meet people where they are. If you like to listen to podcasts, we want you to tune in to Keeping Up with McCurdy on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or any other medium. We do Facebook Live too, because we also film that in person. So we want you to keep up with us. And again, that podcast is called Keeping Up with McCurdy. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so on. But we just want the people to know that we are not going to leave no stone unturned as it relates to trying to connect with them. And if you're somebody who would like to join us in person, we have our county commission meetings, twice a month, the first and third Tuesdays of the month. So we invite you to join us. We invite you to reach out to us. If you have any events that you would like us to show up to, or any special birthdays in the community, invite us out. We would love to celebrate with you. And if you have someone that you would love to honor, maybe it's your grandmother or grandfather who's turning 100 years old, or someone who's just an outstanding community member, reach out to our office so that we can get them recognized by the entire Clark County Commission for their work and their meaningfulness to you. So that's all I really have to say. I'm incredibly honored to be able to have the privilege of representing one of the most diverse districts in Clark County, and it is my honor to also, while I have this time in life, to be able to represent you with integrity, sincerity, and most of all, with the heart that is going to be, given to you, and I'm going to work on their benefit.
Always a pleasure talking to you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
I know we could talk for another half hour. We'll let you get back to work. We sure appreciate you being here.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All righty.
That wraps up this edition of In Your Neighborhood. Thanks to Commissioner William McCurdy II for taking time to tell us about the area he calls home and represents as your elected official, District D. If you have any questions about this show or ideas for upcoming segments in your neighborhood, call me. I'm at 702-455-6357 or send off an email to rsw@clarkcountynv.gov. Thanks for tuning in to Clark County Television. On behalf of all of us here at Clark County, I'm Randy Swallow. We'll see you again next time in your neighborhood.